Hello and Aloha, dear friend, my fellow human being on all over the planets. My name is Abbas Temori. Time is 11:25. Today is the 3rd of September. 11:25 in the night, close to midnight. I'm going to continue the program that I started. I thought I've spoken about this, by the way, in my videos in the past, because I have a video called 7 Valleys of Baha'u'llah. But I was advised by somebody that this needs attending, and this is why I'm going directly to the tablet of Baha'u'llah about the 7 Valleys. So I don't know where to begin. There's a lot of things to do here. First of all, we have to fix some of the translations. So we have to read this Valley of Search, and then we have to explain what do we mean by this search or seeking. And then I'm going to tell you there are other references to this valley. It's not just confined to these particular tablets. So where do we start, really? Okay, let me give you a prelude. However fast it might be, it has to be done. This dear Marzieh Gale has translated this valley as to be Valley of Search. And apparently Shoghi Effendi must have been aware of this but never wanted to say anything about it. I can totally understand why. She's a lady, she might get hurt. And sometimes people can't take things, you know. I personally would be pleased, and after 80 years of my life, especially before I die, that somebody comes and pinpoint that, you know, I was wrong all along. I would kiss the hand of that man if it can prove me that I'm wrong. Especially being like Baha'u'llah or Shoghi Effendi, even if they talk to me, that's good enough for me. Doesn't matter. I could not utter a word in front of them. The truth has been translated as Valley of Search. This is definitely a wrong word. Because the actual word is talab. Don't be startled. The word Taliban that you heard in Afghanistan, it is the same word. Taliban, and is the plural form of Talib. And Talib means the person who has talab. Talab means seeking. Talib means a seeker. Taliban means the seekers. So this city is really called the city of seeking. It's not searching. Search is what the seeker should do. It's an act of seeking. A seeker should search. But this is called talab, and talab means seeking. Definitely it does not mean search. So, but what are we searching here for? You know, it's a very question, the big question. What are we searching for? We're searching for God. That's all what we think and what we say. But God is an abstract, a reality that's totally out of reach. Then naturally we have to look into the manifestations of this God. If we look at the material in this world, we say all of this is made by God. Therefore, one way or other, God is in all of them. We look at the materials, we can see shapes, weight, mass, taste, color. Then we know this guy who made this world must understand shapes, must understand weight or taste. We'll go further down to look at his other product and we look at the vegetation, then we say this God totally understands what growth and what life is. If he didn't know what life is, how would you create a plant that's living, that's alive? Well, look further in the animals, we see that this God must understand sight, hearing, smelling, taste. That's what the animals has. He must know these things, otherwise he would not make being with these capacities. Then we say, okay, further up, we see human being. We see in the human being, there's a thinking power. That all these five sensitive animals, they're like reporters. They report to the brain, and the man, which is sitting behind the brain, typing the story in a journal of thinking. He makes up his stories. He reconfigurates this information and reconstruct the nature. And we see some of these men are great and good and nice, and some of them are really bad and evil, nasty. So man has both sides to him, good and bad. He manifests both. We look among the men, we see certain individuals such as Jesus Christ and Moses, Muhammad, Baha'u'llah, Krishna, Buddha, Quetzalcoatl, and others that we do not know yet. They're manifesting absolutely only goodness. The shortcoming of man, of taking revenge, of getting angry, of beating people up, of hating, they do not have any of that. They're bereft of all these bad things. Naturally then we say, this must be the final product of God, Baha'u'llah. It is only fair to look at the last and the best product of a creator to judge him. If I want to judge Shakespeare's, I can't go on see what he made when he was age 12 and 13. They may not be that good. So that would not be the criteria of knowing Shakespeare. I have to look at his latest work. And this is the case with everyone. So then we know this God is manifesting himself in many things, and his best picture is in the prophets of God today called Baha'u'llah. So who is Baha'u'llah? Baha'u'llah is manifesting himself in his cause. What we know of Baha'u'llah, or what is useful to us, what is understandable and comprehensible to us, is what he has written and what he has done. His work is the cause of Baha'i faith. That's where he is. If you want to understand now the Baha'i faith, the cause of Baha'u'llah, where he manifests his power in it, related to us, then we have to act upon it. We have to see if these formulas that he says it works. We have to see with our own eyes if adultery ceases the spirit to grow, or those people that are adulterous are all not very spiritual. They don't understand very well. Is this a fact or what? So we have to test, we have to read, we have to understand, we have to put it into practice. And when we come to act upon it, then we have to deal with people. Because all these things what he says, to be patient, to be nice, to be good, to keep your promise, to not backbite, all of that is in relation with another human being. God cannot tell us do not backbite with a reference to the cows and animals, or don't be cruel to the plants. All of these things come in effect in relationship with other people. So then we have to deal with people. This is what we're searching. This is what search is then. To really understand who we are. We have to understand that capacity that's embedded in us. Baha'u'llah says his trust that He left in us. The chip personally has put in us. Like the movie Total Recall, we have to get there, we have to touch that. To activate a different personality higher than a human being, which is like a capacity to be able to connect to the internet, which is He Himself. That's what it finally means. It deals with that. The other point that we can say is that some people tell me that so searching and seeking about God after God. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want money. In the Baha'i faith, even in this one, Baha'u'llah says in here that a true seeker, he finds that everything in this universe is searching for the friends, for the beloved. Is that the case? Yes, it is. The moment the motion began in this universe, as they say, at the Big Bang, and some microsecond after the Big Bang, when there were a few particles like positron and electron and some other strange names, as they move, they come together, then they create the first atom. That moves around, creates molecules. Then as the universe cools down, we can see the stars and galaxies. So everything is moving towards becoming something, progressively evolving. Comes to the planet Earth, where the molecule became DNA. This motion of the matter, it goes on in time. I've said that it's like a pot that God is cooking it on the fire of time, and as it cooks, it makes the soup of life. It becomes plants. Plants moves. In the motion, it goes higher and higher. The movement becomes an animal. You can see, we can see that how it develops and evolves. And it becomes human. It can think. Now he becomes greedy. He wants everything for himself. Then when he reaches to the climax of the money, like Bill Gates, he gets tired. He literally finds money is not everything. Although he doesn't believe in God, because he never was seeking for God, he just simply gets tired of the material. They don't have that much of a desire. The material love is a one-way love. You don't have it, you're unhappy. When you have it, you're not happy. If you have a hand, you're not happy. But if they take the hand away from you, you're very unhappy. It's not something that if you're unhappy and you have the money, no, you will become happy. That's not the case. It prevents unhappiness, but it doesn't give you happiness. It's very strange. So then as you go and you look furthermore, even if you don't believe in any religion, any God, and you have no prophet, none, you're just by yourself on this planet with few people, you discover there's something beyond this matter. You wonder where this feeling comes from. Why does it feels good when you're helping others? It gradually from the matter we come into the non-matter. It seems the entire being is shooting towards a center. Whether they know it or they don't know it. That is where the end is. You see, many people, they don't know. Actually, when they're looking for money, you tell them, that's why you're looking for money? Why? He says, I want happiness. When he gets the money, he says the money doesn't bring happiness. Then he has to get rid of it in order to get the happiness. Like our friends, you know, many of these philanthropists. So people are not after money, really. They're after happiness, after satisfactions. But they dissolve the satisfaction. They are like those exotic elements. They have only microseconds in life, like ananalium. They're the ananabiums of universe. It's just a few seconds and they die out. They're all radioactive. They get dissolved. So, This is what it is, that the entire universe is moving, and the motion, it leads to spiritual values, and all the spiritual values pointing to one big begetter, God, you see. That's how the religion begins. It's in the fabric of life. We will find it, given time, but we don't have very much time, see. So, now let's say another things in this connections, that these 7 valleys, as I told you before, is not necessarily 7. Baha'u'llah has brought this in different ways. He has in the Jawahir al-Asrar, I said last night, essence of the mysteries, there's not 7, there's 8. And then there's the value of knowledge is not there. Okay, something else isn't there. There's all the level of understanding, and there are many ways to explain this, definitely. It's not confined to this particular one. This is only because their wishes of the time, they were taking that this is what it is. But when you look at it methodically, as the white man in here went after materials, and they try to, create ways and forms how the material world works. These people in the East, they had seems a different responsibility inherited in them to find out how to get to their spirituality. But truly, if you want anything in the life, whether it's a bicycle or a wife, or it's money or fame, you have to seek it. If you don't seek it, and you don't want it, you won't get it. It's as simple as that. These are not just procedures to, say, confined to the spiritual matter. It's confined to many things. In music, let's say. If you seek music, then you fall in love with it. Then in the head of a beloved one man, you find a beloved. It's Mr. Beethoven. Then you go to Beethoven, and then you understand what it is to be musicians. Then as you work, sometimes you feel high, sometimes you feel down. Then you feel that unity between him and you. And finally, at the point, you become exactly like Beethoven himself. You could say that is the value of selflessness, where you as a student no longer exist the way it was. When people, they see you, say, my God, he looks just like Beethoven. You see? So you can apply this in many things. When you reach to that goal, we immerse into that goal fully and completely. It becomes a career, it becomes you. You become it. All right. All right, that's another point I had to say. But we're going to the actual writing now. Where did I put this in here? The value of search. You've seen this value of the search, which is the value of seeking, really. For now we call it search. It is not just these few pages that you see in this particular writing of Baha'u'llah. The real definition of a true seeker is in the Book of Certitude. I had to bring it up again tonight. I've done it before. Baha'u'llah here very briefly talks about what seeking is. Basically, you can classify it as what a person should do in seeking and what will happen to the person and what are his discovery. Some of it to explain his feelings as it traversed the way. Some of it explains his discovery, and many of it is what he has to do. You see? So you have to combine the writing. All the writing of Baha'u'llah is really one book. In many occasions, based on the understanding of the person, God speaks differently. God is like a database. If you go type and ask the questions, based on what you're asking, you get an answer. Other person says something else, you get a deeper answer. So these answers that are given mostly by Baha'u'llah, which most of his writing really answers to the questions, including this one, it is to guide that person to get into the faith, to feel that certainty, to get rid of the doubts that he has. That is the purpose. But it's certainly not confined to this particular valley, to call it the Valley of Search. And when I bring this to you, I'm not going to go like a scholar tonight, compare all this writing. I'll leave that to you to see what are the points within these three combinations of these three tablets that I have bring it for you tonight, and what really the true seekers is. He says, the state of this valley is patience. Without patience, the wayfarer on this journey will reach nowhere and attain no goal, nor should he ever be downhearted. If he strive for 100,000 years and yet fail to behold the beauty of the friend, he should not falter. For those who seek the Kaaba, for us, rejoice in the tiding. In our ways will we guide them. Let's take one of the things out of the way here. She has translated, in our ways we will guide them. Exactly the same part of this phrase in the Book of Certitude, which is in Arabic, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, has been translated by Shawi Effendi in the Book of Certitude in different ways. She says in her translation, in our ways will we guide them. Shawi says, in our ways shall we assuredly guide him. See, look at them and him. The word is plural, sobulana, our ways. And then it says, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ, guide them. Shawi says, guide him. Because we're talking about one seeker at a time, you see. So this translation, if you want to show this translation, it is not really in our ways we will guide them. It should be in our ways shall we assuredly guide him. Okay? That's number one to be taken away. Now, patience. What's patience that Baha'u'llah is talking about? I'm not going to go deep inside. I've talked already about the patience. Patient is to measure an exact amount of time required for something to happen. To understand this, you have to wait till the time comes out for that things to be ripened. But after the time is gone, there cannot be any patience. Then it is delayed. So patient is only when you know it takes time for something to come. You are patient. But if you just wait and wait and wait, somebody patiently you think that will go and move, you have to wait for a baby to come out of the womb of the mother 9 months and few days. If it's not coming out and you're going to wait for 11 months, mother and the baby both dies. Patience is to understand that measure requires for a person to move, for something to be made. If it is not done, there's no patient. The fellow is promising you he will be there at so and so time. He's not there. You can wait another 5 to 10 minutes. You cannot be patient. You have to leave. Staying there is not patient. But you have to be patient with him. Maybe he had some problem that he could have not come. Why didn't he call? Maybe he lost his phone even. Maybe he was in an accident. But waiting after 10 minutes without you knowing if he comes or not, that's not patience. It's very important. So that is why Baha'u'llah says, in the case of God, you have to be patient. Because he has promised. This is in the verse of Quran. We will assuredly, I like this word, assuredly. Why Shoghi Effendi used assuredly? Because in Arabic it says, لَنَهْدِيَنَّ. If it says, لَنَهْدِي, that means we'll guide them. But he uses the word, a stressed N at the end. لَنَهْدِيَنَّ. In Arabic, if you add that N twice, it means of course, definitely. This is why it is correctly to say assuredly we will guide them. Baha'u'llah says it's a promise of God. God says I will. If you're not getting there yet, it's because you are not ready. That's all. But will he do that? Yes. His promise is different from any other promises. In that case, you have to be patient. But not patient and sitting on your butt doing nothing. You've got to do something all the time. In their search, they have stoutly girded up the loins of service. I'm okay with this translation. It says the loins of service. It says tighten up the belt of service, and tighten the belt. That is what it originally says, but she says girded up the loins. It will render the meaning. This service is very important. You're sitting and seeking God with no action and no service to serve the purpose, which for a Baha'i is, as I said, is manifested in his cause. Baha'u'llah is manifested in his cause. To understand this cause, you have to act upon. You have to act upon. Then you have to serve. Service right now is to go to pioneering and to do the teaching. Gives you the most fruit of any other service. So you have to do it, without you won't get anywhere. And seek at every moment to journey from the plane of heedlessness into the realm of being. Definitely vague and wrong translation, my friends. There's no such a thing as realm of being. Baha'u'llah uses the word makan and imkan. Makan means place, imkan means possibilities. Stop this. So, and seek at every moment to journey from the plane of heedlessness into the realm of beings. It doesn't make sense. Seek at every moment. No, I've retranslated it to say, and seek at every moment to journey from the plane of heedlessness into the, okay, and after that, I've said that at every moment they journey from the plane of heedlessness into the possibility of seeking. And seek at every moment in journey from the plane of heedlessness into the realm of being. Gone. Translation, new one. At every moment they journey from the plane of heedlessness into the possibility of seeking. See? Well, what happens? When you're seeking, you're moving, you're serving, you're experiencing, you get to new things. Naturally, you can see what are possible things, what are not possible. There are possibilities that you can do. Imkan, possibilities. You're not seeking, you're seeking to serve, but you end up learning more. What are the possibilities? Continue, or times will be enormous on this one. No bound shall hold them back, and no counsel shall deter them away. It is very, very important for every Baha'is that to set a goal which already they know is Baha'u'llah is God. They know about that. But along the way, as they go, of course you have to accept the counsels and the opinion and everybody else. And Baha'u'llah explains that anything. This here it means that the decision, which in Kitab Iran he uses determined. Because they determined to do this, they won't be stopping away. Even they tell them that you're going to die this way. But of course they accept the counsel from other Baha'is what to do here right now. You want to do certain teaching, and you have to spend all this money and this time, and there are circumstances. It might create opposition between the Baha'is, between the non-Baha'is. How far should you go? With what speed you have to go? Of course you have to consult. This does not mean to be a stubborn. They do not deter you away from the truth. But how to get to the truth, you have to consult all the time. This is not a license to a stubbornness here. Okay, and no counsel shall deter them away. No. It says, by the way, no counsel shall deter them. I just added the word away after. Make it smoother. So, it is incumbent on these servants that they cleanse the heart, which is the wellspring of divine treasure from every marking, and that they turn away from imitation, which is following the traces of their forefathers and sires. The worst legacy and inheritance in a man is to receive and inherit religion from his father. Money, okay. Many genetic things we inherit. But when it comes to the spiritual value, there's nothing material about it. It's absolutely made out of decisions. You have to decide to be a spiritual. Knowledge can make you to do that. Baha'u'llah cannot do that to you. The entire books in the world you read, finally your decision makes you to do right things or the wrong things. Okay. So you cannot then imitate, religion from others. It's very important. And shut the door of friendliness and enmity upon all the people of the earth. Yeah, this is again controversial because a lot of people, they say what that means. It simply means do not take side. Simply. Do not take side. This side, that side. Abbas is right. Those people are right. This priest is right. Muslim is right. No, you are an independent person. You take the information, okay, without absolutely looking whether this guy has a color issue or he has a religion issue or his language is bad. None of that. You have to be like a judge sitting on the back of the seat. You have to look and be very careful in your judgment. Okay. But Baha'u'llah says that do not take side. That's what that word means. It doesn't mean that we should not be friends with others. In other paragraph he says he has to associate with everybody and everything, at every city and everywhere. Well, that is, and then against this one, no. Baha'i has to associate with everyone, with everything, with every being. So this Daradusti, which it says the gate of the friendship, friendliness and enmity, it just means that don't take side. Let's go on. In this journey the seeker reaches a stage wherein he seeth all the created things wandering distracted. I don't understand. Marzia Gale, I wish she was here. I would ask her, why does she word the word distracted? I am distracted by the word distracted here. In the original word, the distracted does not exist even. It just simply says wandering in search of the friend. You could add a word divine friend, beloved friends, but wandering distracted is totally distracting. So that word, there's no room in the original for it. It's kind of an interpretation, should have not been made. So we have to read, in this journey the seeker reached a stage wherein he seeth all created things wandering in the search of the friend. How many a Jacob will he see hunting? Jacob is not hunting. Hunting, is that a harsh word? Just say wandering, because it says in the original wandering, and now you're saying you're using the wandering twice. Use bewildering. The second word could be bewildering. How many a Jacob will he see bewildering after his Joseph? The word his is not an original also, because this is not the story of Jacob and Joseph. That's very personal. So there's no his involved. We're after God. So the word his is extra again, should not be here. Goes on, he will behold many, she has translated many lovers hasting to see. Many is a wrong word, is not existing. It should be, he will behold not many but a world of lovers hasting to seek the beloved. He will witness a world of desiring one searching after one desired. So that many a has to be a world of. Yeah, this is where Baha'u'llah says he will see there are so many things are looking to find the beloved. That is the case in the material world. Everywhere is like this. Everything is searching to find another. You can see oxygen is looking for hydrogen to create the bond to make the water. And water is looking at SO4, whatever, to create sulfuric acids. It goes on and on and on and on. It is. Everyone is looking at something. In the entire universe is like this. All of this. They're all looking after something which is transitional. Even Talibans are after God. They're just getting a detour from the hell. But at the end of the day, that's where they want to go. But their path has got a detour, passes through the hell. Goes on, he says, at every moment he findeth a weighty matter, in every hour he becometh aware of a mystery, for he hath taken his heart away from both worlds and set out for the Kaaba of the beloved. One of these greatest, Sufis of all, as I said before, his name is Hussein Hallaj. Louis Massinian called him the Messiah of the West. They asked him, how did you get here? He said, I took two a step. One of this world, one of the others. Bob says if you want to pray because of the recompense, it's great. But if you do it just because of you like to talk to God, you're not looking to get anything, that would be much more praiseworthy. What Baha'u'llah says here is that do not look for a recompense. Doesn't it say that? Do not come to me with the heart full of the wishes. Isn't it crazy? Or say, God, give me this, give me that, give me that, give me that. And he says in the center, what about me? You don't want me? You are hiring me, the God, to be the servant to fulfill your desires. But you don't want me, God says. That's what Baha'u'llah says. You don't want me. You just want me to give you something else. That's a reference to that here, you see. So, don't look for something else, neither this world or in the world to come. Don't do it because you're going to go to heaven. Nabil Zarandi, the writer, the author of the Dawnbreaker, when Baha'u'llah died, ascended, he went on a cliff. I saw him throw himself right into the water, killed himself. He wouldn't care about the hell or heaven. He just didn't have his friend. He could not leave and look at this object without Baha'u'llah around him. I can understand. He just didn't want us. To him, even if he goes to hell, so it is hell already for me, he says. My friend is not here. My beloved is gone. I am going. Abdu'l-Baha says it's forbidden to suicide in a Baha'i faith, but the case of Nabil is exceptional. So, and the Kaaba of the beloved, of course you know Kaaba. Kaaba really means cube. The country Cuba means cube. Cube means, you know, the cube in Mecca. There's a strange secret in that. Who knows, one day I might tell you. But this is a cube. Doesn't look like any building that God has made for himself, but Abraham made the cube. So, at every step, 8 from the invisible realm will attend him, and the heat of his search will grow. It definitely does. I've seen this invisible aids will come. You gotta try it, but it has to be in the case of, you know, a teaching. I've seen it many times. I remember in India when we went to a village and the guy said that, tell your God, give us some water. You're telling us now about Baha'i faith. We have no water. I told him, I'm on your side, mister. And we went and we came back in half an hour. The entire village was full of hail as big as this. These people, they were thinking as they were bombarded from the heaven. In Tamil Nadu, there had never been hail, according to Muto Komar, our things. He said that they're startled, they don't know what it is. I said, well, he was asking for it. And it happened. Now, this is an irony Baha'u'llah talks here about. That's nice. He says, one must judge of the search by the standard of the Majnun of love. Majnun means crazy. Is the name of a fellow by the name Qais. He was in love with the lady. You got to go in the internet to find out. It's much like Romeo and Juliet. It's not a Persian story, by the way. It's an Arab story, probably from Saudi Arabia. It's long, long ago, before even Islam was around. And this boy was in love with this girl from a very childhood. And the families, they were disputing, feuding, just like Romeo and Juliet, and they never let him to have her. And as a result, he had to leave. He left and went to the, we went crazy, he went to the wilderness. I was just looking, finally they say, at one point as the caravan was taking the lady away, a lady finds her and they would die. So it's one of those stories that many of them are in Iran. One of them is this lady and Majnun, but this is a totally an Arabic origin. There's no Persians, as it says in the translation of this book. So, and the story goes that they see him that, you know, taking dust, and in the dust, he says, I'm looking for Layli. They tell him that, how are you looking at you? And he says, I'm looking everywhere. Maybe I can find him. He was crazy, going crazy because of love. I've seen a similar story like this. Excuse me. The story of Adele Hugo, the daughter of Victor Hugo. And she was in love with this man and she could never get it, and she was going totally on those stages. And the father could not deter her away. I saw this movie in Iran as a kid. So this is one of those stages, and he says, I'm looking at everywhere to it. Baha'u'llah alludes to this sometimes, that people, not knowingly, they are really in the doing the lowest of the lowest of the low of the thing, but they don't know it. they could find God everywhere. There's a couple of stories. They say Attar is one of the person in here, his name is relating a story that Gabriel saw God is talking to somebody. He says, funny, God asked me always to render the message. I am the, Archangel Gabriel. But this time I'm not around. He's directly talking to somebody. I'm going to go to see who it is. He goes on all the heavens, couldn't find him, finally so to earth. Even all the mosques and all, Knesset and all the churches couldn't find him. Finally he was passing by, he saw a place where the idol worshippers are. This is an old man sitting in front of the idol and is crying so heavily to this idol, the this and that. And the idol is talking to him. And he goes to God, said that, God, you sent Abraham to break all these idols. Now you're talking to this man. He says to Gabriel, you don't know the meaning of the idol. It's idol, but not for him. So, sometimes in the lowest of the lowest of the low, you could find things. 17 years I was struggling with these questions of the Karl Marx regarding the existence of God as he puts it. God is nothing and therefore it could not be. And one day I was in Cornwall, Ontario. We had a separation stage by my ex-wife, and I had to go there to see the kids. And this boy, Christian Gosselin, was there. They told me later on he's a gay. I was not feeling very comfortable with gay those days. I changed after. And he just asked questions. I tried to answer him and I found the answer I was looking for. I said, Eureka! I found the answer. Good questions. I said, Christian, you asked very good questions. 17 years old boy, and I'm what? 35. In the spiritual realm, anyways, I'm not talking to you about the physics, chemistry, or the matter, but in the spiritual world, realm, you can never say anything about anybody. All of a sudden you find answer from the places that you could never imagine. Never ever imagine. Remember that. So, where are we? So, I don't need to read this story. Finally it says, there's a few words. The true seeker hunted not, but the object of his quest, and the lover had no desire save union with his beloved. Right. There's something here missing. In my word, on page 7 and 8. Right. No, we're okay. This is again, I have to retranslate this, because it is not rendering the true meaning and true translation of the original. This is about the last 5th paragraph of this Valley of Search. She has translated, nor shall the seeker reach his goal unless he sacrifices all things. That is, whatever he had seen and heard and understood. Then she goes on, quote, all must he set at naught, that he may enter the realm of the Spirit, which is the city of God. This is not what it is says there. It has to be translated differently. So I agree with the translation as far as the word understood. So I'll go and then I change. This is her translation. Nor shall the seeker reach his goal unless he sacrifice all things. That is, whatever he had seen and heard and understood. That's okay here. Then it has to be written like this. All he must negate. All he must negate with the word no, quotation mark, within bracket, to everything. The word Baha'u'llah uses is law. In Arabic means no. He has to negate everything by saying no. All he must negate with the word no, within quotation, within the bracket in front of it, to everything, to enter the city of soul, which is the city of except, within the quotation mark, bracket in front of it, him. When Muslims, they become Muslims, they have to say La ilaha illallah. La means no. Ilah means God. Illa, except Allah. Except God. There's no God but God. If you look at this, the sentence starts, Baha'u'llah says, with the word no. In the Baha'i faith, you say yes. You have to say yes to God. In Islam, you start with no. La, no. Ilah. What is the difference between ilah, which is translated as God, and at the end of the sentence, Allah? Ilah and Allah, they both stand for God. Do they really? Ilah means God, God as in the Greek, Aphrodite, Mars, Zeus, Poseidon. Arab, they had all kind of gods. Hobal, Lat, Uzzat, they were the gods of Mecca. And they were called them in Arabic Ilah, which means God. Muhammad said, if he says about God also Ilah, is going to mix up. So he used the word the Ilah, which in Arabic the means al. He says al-Ilah, the Ilah. And then al-Ilah became condensed. It became Allah. Allah means al-Ilah, the Ilah. Al means the. And then became one word. Al-Ilah became Allah. So, in Islam we have to say La ilaha, no God, as in the God of Greeks and idols God. Illa, except Allah, the God. So here, this is what the reference is. Baha'u'llah says he has to say no. He has to use the word La in order to get to the city of Illah, which Illah goes to Allah. So you have to say no to everything as far as gods are, or religions, or ideologies, in order to understand Allah. So this is the way. Now I told you the background, and this is how it should be translated. I'm going to translate this paragraph from the beginning, half of it of Marzi Gill, with apology profusely to her and to others. I'm sorry, I have to correct it. Nor shall the seeker reach his goal unless he sacrifice all things, that is, whatever he had seen and heard and understood. My translation continues. All he must negate with the word no to everything, to enter the city of soul, which is the city of except him. Him and everything has to be within the bracket, because it is not a part of the original, but it is an explanation of that word. So, as you can see, Baha'u'llah clearly says in our religion, in this his religion, the word Allah is not, it doesn't start with law. I was talking last night about a book. I brought that book here. This book for the Persians and English people alike, it says Erfan, I think volume 2nd. Unfortunately the book is in Persian. Don't look at this English name, but you could get somebody to go. In this book, It comes from the page 107. Mr. Wahid Rafati, if I'm right, I think he's become the member of Universal House of Justice, was, or he is even now, has very beautifully, this gentleman has explained how these things stands for. I wish he would translate this in English as a companion book to the Seven Valleys. It is so important that the Baha'is in the West who know where these quotations comes, where the sources are, and how are they explained. Because otherwise, some of the writing is very hard. All the their friend of the Baha'is in the West, they have missed the class of Islam. They're jumping from Christianity all of a sudden into Baha'i faith. Therefore, they have difficulty to understand a lot of things in the Baha'i faith which are related to the Islamic era. It does not prevent them from their spiritual value, but understanding some of the parts, you see. And this book would be a perfect one, if Mr. Wahid Rafati likes to, could translate it. So finally, we're coming to the end. He says labor is needed. It should be endeavor is needed. Because the original word is hemmat. Hemmat does not mean labor. Hemmat means endeavor. Labor is needed. Endeavor is needed. If we are to seek Him, ardor is needed. If we are to drink of the honey of reunion with Him, and if we taste of this cup, we shall cast away the world. If we taste of this cup cannot be tasted. What's inside the cup can be tasted. This is what my problem was when I was reading the Book of Certitude in Arabic. It says Ku'us-e-Iran. Ku'us means cups. Iran means certitude. The cups of certitude. But when we look at it in English, we see Ku'us is translated as a wine of certitude. Then we found out Shoghi Effendi knew, what a divine force he was, that cups, when singular, no, but when plural, it also means wine. Therefore, Ku'us-e-Iran does not mean cups of certitude, it means wine of certitude. I vouch that the same could be applied here. Of this cup, although the word is cup, it should be really the wine, because we cannot taste cup, isn't it? From the cup, what's inside the cup. So, reunion with Him, and if we taste of this cup, no, I said of this wine, we shall cast away. Cast away is not the original word. The original word means to forget. Not we shall cast away the world, but we shall forget the world. And it is not the world. It should be we shall forget a world. Because the word says awlami. Awlami means a world. It does not mean the world. Anyways, let's get to the last two paragraphs. On this journey the travelers abided in every land and dwelled in every region. Isn't this contradictory with what he says? You forget all the people, enmity with all the people? No. Here means your companionship with people on the basis of their spiritual values. And you have to go with everyone, ask everyone. But if you want to side take between this and that, this guy who's going to teach me, or that guy teach me, I'm friend of this or enemy of that, no side taking. That's the first one. Here though is the important verse of the companionship. It shows that man and all his divine attributes, so called, that he could gain, fortunately or unfortunately, it is only in the relationship with other people. So without that we cannot. On this journey the travelers abided in every land and dwelt in every region, in every face. He seeketh the beauty of the friend in every country. He looketh for the beloved. He joineth every company, and seeketh fellowship with every soul, that haply in some mind. Mind is a wrong word. Haply in some body. Why some mind? in somebody, he may uncover the secret of the friend. Friend means beloved, really. The secret of the beloved. Or in some face, he may behold the beauty of the loved one. That means this God that you're seeking for, I'm assuring you here, it will be a man that you find. And this man would be Baha'u'llah. But another man, if you fall in love, such as me, I'm only a catalyst. I will have to take you to him. Do not teach yourself to people. Do not be a broker. Inform them of Baha'u'llah. Do not stand between Baha'u'llah and people and tell them that it is me, I am the one. The moment they think you're the greatest, this or that, tell them that, brother, you're going wrong. Whatever greatness if you find in me, it is because I became a Baha'i. So go get to the source. But if you enjoy that he's admiring you and wants to be with you, right there you are assuming priesthood. Be careful of that. Do not take no admirations, no credit. Because if you do, you're assuming the position of a friendship, of a priesthood. We have to be friend, that's all. That's the only relationship that the Baha'is would have with each other, friendship. Leadership and this and that, that's what all this, I call them covenant brokers, They're the broker of the covenant. You talk about covenant, they come there, with a baton, beat you up. They think it's their covenant, not yours. They're special, you're not. So, and if by the help of God he findeth on this journey a trace of the traceless friend, and inhaleth the fragrance of the long-lost Joseph from the heavenly messenger, he shall straightway step into the valley of search. So, you thought you know all about search right now, isn't it? Who is the seeker? What's the definition of seeker? I'm going to have to read this. I know time is not there, but I'm going to have to do it. Because if you get to the second part of the Book of Certitude, I have the book here, did I? Well, I don't, but I have done it here. This is what it says. Let me actually tell you what it says at the very end of this. At the end it says, when the detached wayfarer and sincere seeker had fulfilled this essential condition, then and only then can he be called a true seeker. You heard Baha'u'llah in the Valley of the Search. Here Baha'u'llah talking about the seeker, much more elaborated in the Book of Certitude. Thanks to him for saying these things. So, I'm going to, with your permission, read this and emphasize on some of the points. I'll leave it to you. You can find it yourself. But, O my brother, when a true seeker determineth to take the step of search and the path leading to the knowledge of the Ancient of Days. 3 points, sisters and brothers. He says a true seeker will have to have determinations, without it can't. He's taking a step in understanding what? Knowledge. That's what he's seeking. The knowledge of the Ancient of the Days. Okay? So, a true seeker has to have a determinations. Stepping into, leading to the knowledge of the Ancient of Days. Let's go. But, O my brother, when a true seeker determineth to take the step of search on the path leading to the knowledge of the Ancient of the Days, he must before all else cleanse and purify his heart, which we read that before. which is the seat of the revelations of the inner mysteries of God from obscuring dust of all acquired knowledge, and the illusions of the embodiment of the satanic fancies. He must purge his breast, which is the sanctuary of the abiding love of the beloved, of every defilement, and sanctify his soul from all that pertaineth to water and clay, from all shadowy and ephemeral attachment. He must so cleanse his heart that no remnant of either love or hate may linger therein, lest that love blindly incline him to error, or that hate repel him away from the truth, even as thou dost witness in this day how most of the people, because of such love and hate, are bereft of the immortal face, have strayed far from the embodiment of the divine mysteries, and shepherdless are roaming through the wilderness of the oblivion and error. We saw that too, that Baha'u'llah says, cut down this love and hate. Here it explains what he means. He continues, that the seeker must at all times put his trust in God. Otherwise he could not be patient. He has to trust in God. Must renounce the people of the earth, detach himself from all the world of dust. Again, this renouncing of the people of the earth does not mean renouncing them and going to be a monk. Renounce them with a reference of that they can give you anything. If they do, which they should, you have to have only one point in your, that you want to get to God. You want to get to the bottom. Other people do not cling because this guy looks so good. Every one of these priests or preachers, there's thousands of them, they're all brokers standing in the way of God, and they're just like these bears on the river catching the fish. Don't let these poor seekers to go. This is what it means. Renounce them. Do not take attention to what you see, good or bad, Baha'u'llah says. Alright. Now we're seeing new things that was not on that valley of the search. He must never seek to exalt himself above anyone. I'm seeking God, therefore I'm special. This is the virus of the spirituality. The moment you become a spiritual, you think you're better than others. Others have to, obey you. You start to think, oh, they don't know. This is the biggest bullshit that comes with this spirituality. I don't know what it is that when you start to know about God, about religion, about Baha'u'llah, or you have done a lot of teachings. The teachers, I've never seen them show this kind of attitude. But the readers and knowledgeable people, the way they behave is so condescending. Even they look at you condescendingly. This is what it says. The seeker must at all time, he must never seek to exalt himself above anyone, must wash away from the tablet of his heart every trace of pride and vain glory. Just glorifying yourself over the others. Must cling unto patience and resignations. This we understood, patience and resignations. Patience, Baha'u'llah said in that 7 valleys. Now he added the word resignations also. Observe silence and refrain from idle talk. Baha'u'llah explains what he means. He says, for the tongue is a smoldering fire, an excess of a speech a deadly poison. Material fire consumeth the body, whereas the fire of the tongue devoureth both heart and soul. The force of the former lasted but for a time, whilst the effect of the latter endures a century. So, watch out what we're saying. So much we have to be careful in what we're saying. It's easily we can hurt others. This is, by the way, to me, deadly poison. It says too much talk. Sorry, but I have to talk right now. I'm going to continue. Baha'u'llah, quote, that the seeker should also regard backbiting as a grievous error and keep himself aloof from its dominion, inasmuch as backbiting quencheth the light of the heart and extinguisheth the life of the soul. If Baha'is are talking about each other sometimes, they're complaining, you see the smell of backbiting, tell him that if you want to talk about this guy, I'm going to listen, as long as at the end of the day you agree with me that we have to go solve this problem. You're telling me something about him that he's not here. Then you have to accept that I become a mediator between you two and fix this problem. But if you don't want to make me a mediator to fix this problem, then don't tell me that. At least don't bring his names. Okay? This complaining is not good from the Baha'is. Okay. Regard backbiting as a grievous error and keep himself aloof from its dominion, inasmuch as backbiting quencheth the light of the heart and extinguisheth the life of the soul. He should be content with little. That's a part of the seeking. And be freed from all inordinate desires. He should treasure the companionship of those that have renounced the world, and regard avoidance of the boastful and worldly people a precious benefit. This is what he means, renounce the people of the world. Means avoid those who are boastful and worldly people. It's precious, it says benefit. Stay away from them. But otherwise communicate with everyone. At the dawn of every day, he should commune with God, and with all his soul persevere in the quest of his beloved. He should consume every wayward thoughts by the flame of his loving mention, and with the swiftness of lightning pass by all else save him. He should succor the dispossessed, and never withhold his favor from the destitute. He should show kindness to animals, how much more, and to his fellow man, to him who is endowed with the power of utterance. He should not hesitate to offer up his life for his beloved, nor allow the censor of the people to turn him away from the truth. He should not wish for others that which he does not wish for himself, nor promise that which he does not fulfill. With all his heart should the seeker avoid fellowship with evildoers and pray for the remission of their sins. Stay away from them, but don't hate them, he says. He should forgive the sinful and never despise his low estate, for none knoweth what his own end shall be. How often had a sinner at the hour of death attained to the essence of faith, and quaffing the immortal draught had taken his flight unto the celestial concourse, and how often had a devout believer at the hour of his soul's ascension been so changed as to fall into nethermost fire. If that is the case, who knows really what people are? You can't even say your own self. Just love people, that's all. If you can't, stay away from them. Don't hate them, but pray for them. There's a lot of stuff here to talk. I've spoken a little bit about this in a video, lessons from the Book of Certitude. If you want, you can go back to listen some more, but I just wanted to widen the subject for you to not to think just the valley of the search or seeking that is in the 7 valleys as just that particular paragraph or pages, 2 pages. There's much more. There's more. This is just I brought in here. If you want to know more who the seeker is in and what are the things the seeker, true seeker, has to do, there's a lot more in the writings. I just brought this for you so you know. Don't confine yourself to just one book. he says here, very important, this part. Our purpose in revealing this convincing and weighty utterance is to impress upon the seeker that he should regard all else beside God as transient and count all things save him, who is the object of all adoration, as utter nothingness. These are among the attributes of the exalted and constitute the hallmark of the spiritually minded. They have already been mentioned in connections with the requirements of the wayfarer that tread the path of positive knowledge. When the detached wayfarer and sincere seeker had fulfilled these essential conditions, then and only then can he be called a true seeker. This is it. So we saw in one tablet of Baha'u'llah, famous 7 valleys, what the valley of search is. And now in the Book of Certitude, he developed the subject furthermore at what seeking means, you see. And there is some other Persians here, the one that is not translated. I brought that up here. I don't need to translate anything of that. But there is one point, that it wasn't in those and it is here. This is in Arabic. وَاللَّهُ حَقًّا بأن لا يفتخر على أحد في كل ما أعطاه الله من زخارف الدنيا أو من علوم ظاهرة أو غيرها. He says, it is true that the wayfarer should not boast and brag on anyone for whatever God has given him from the wealth of this world or from the knowledge, from the material knowledge pertaining to the material, or otherwise, he says. Do not brag, he says, to the others. Do that, you're out. Okay? And he also says in here that in this he will see a lot of changes, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of transformation is happening to him as he goes. So what did we learn? That this translation had to have some interpretations. I brought some of the word of Shobi Effendi to translate their word according to his writing, because as it is, it was vague. But also, this is not just a valley of search. If you want to know the real valley of search and who is the seeker, you have to refer to the Book of Certitude. Anywhere you go on the Baha'i.org, the word say brother in the Book of Certitude, and it will come right there under the word brother. Oh, my brother. It's a couple of pages. And in the 7 valleys, we hear after the valley of search, you go to valley of love, isn't it? In the Book of Certitude, he says the seeker enters into the valley of cause. Understanding. So I'm going to bring that when I'm doing the valley of search. It is also notable to see this valley here in the other Arabic one. Baha'u'llah uses sometimes Hadiqatul Talab, garden of search, which is again not search. Talab doesn't mean search. Talab means seeking, the garden of seeking. Sometimes it says Madinatul Ishq, means the city of love. So the word as is being used as valley here. In the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah has used it as into wadi, which means, whatever, valley, but also hadiqa, which means garden. He has also used the word Medina, which is the city, which is the Muslim ways of calling them a city. Okay, I hope it's useful. Time is really late, and I simply do not have time to explain these things in any detail. But it is the writing of Baha'u'llah. I'll tell you where to look for it. And if you read it a few times and try to analyze it, talk to a couple of friends of yours, reading it together, let people to put their input, it will flourish itself and the subject comes out better and better. Allahu Akbar, thank you.